Hello, everyone. Welcome. I am glad you're here. If you can drop a hi in the chat, I'd love to see who is here live. Whether you are at this session about lab work, hey, Josh, um, whether you came out of curiosity, maybe concern, maybe a little bit of frustration, I want you to know no matter what comes up, you're not broken. You're not imagining things. You're not alone for sure. I'm Judy Lynam, and my clients call me the blood detective because I specialize in helping people decode what their bodies are trying to say. Your symptoms are your body's ability to communicate to you. So, we're going to decode that and figure it out through your blood work, through your symptoms, through patterns that sometimes get dismissed. And so I want to talk all about men's health today, from hormones to energy, everything in between, so that you can leave this workshop with a clearer understanding of what labs you should have done and how to use that information to take your health back. So I'm really glad that you're here. Ender and Jamie and Josh. And I will be keeping an eye on the chat. So if you guys have any questions as we go through, feel free to drop them in and I'd be happy to answer it as we go along for sure. So I'm so glad that you guys are here. Today, I want to talk about what labs actually matter when it comes to your health, how to read kind of between the lines of your blood work, and what symptoms like fatigue, maybe it's low libido, maybe it's brain fog, what those things could actually be trying to tell you. And then, most importantly, what to do to take the next step with clarity and confidence, whether you're asking your doctor for lab work or you're looking at some old lab work. I want you to be confident that you know, like, oh, hey, this is important. This is what it means. And I don't want anything here to scare you, but I do want you to say, like, hey, it's truth, it's clear, and there's always hope. If you haven't met me before, I have a story and it's in AHS. We did a great interview, Jamie and I did, telling my story about how I had been hit head on by a drunk driver in a high speed collision in 2012. And I was given a traumatic brain injury and lost the use of the right side of my body. I lost much of my cognitive abilities. I didn't even know what numbers on a digital clock meant. And I became a power wheelchair user, unable to use the right side of my body. And doctors told me that I would never recover. And yet, and yet, they don't get the final say, which is one thing that I love. Though we were along the conventional lines for 6 years, trying everything and doing everything, it was really when the only solutions they had for me were more medications. And I was already on 70 something pills a day that we said, okay, maybe maybe there's something else. Let's look at nutrition, let's look at environment, let's look at those sorts of things to see what we can do. And that really helped my healing. And 6 years and 8 months after the accident on July 6th, 2019, I took my first steps. Coming up on my 6 year walk anniversary here in another week and a half, and just so excited that I have been able to recover. And I just want to empower people. There's always hope. Not only have I recovered physically, I can use the right side of my body, I can talk to you, I can walk, I can hike, all those things, but even cognitively, from not knowing what the numbers on the digital clock meant to going back to school and getting my postgraduate certification in biochemistry so that I could be a functional blood chemistry analyst and help you understand what your labs actually mean. What are they telling you? Because we look at things a little bit differently. So today I want to focus specifically on men's health because oftentimes you guys, y'all aren't going to the doctor. You're really avoiding it until something is majorly wrong. Trust me, I have a lot of men in my life, right? So I've got my father and my father-in-law. I have three brothers. Um, I have three brothers-in-law. I have my husband. I have two sons. So I get it, and I know guys avoid the doctor. My husband cut his finger on a chainsaw and only went in for stitches when I was like, dude, I don't have enough paper towels for you today. So I don't want you to wait until something is massively wrong, um, because we know that you are less likely statistically to seek preventative care. And we can heal through that preventative care, because that preventative care is also what can help you heal when something is wrong. Um, Oftentimes, when people do go to the doctor, they're told that their labs are normal, even if deep down they don't feel fine. And I think often reinforces the idea like, why should I go to the doctor? And we just push through. We kind of numb the feeling, we hustle harder. But I want you to know your body is trying to speak with symptoms. You just haven't been given the tools to listen and to understand what it's saying. And functional blood chemistry is really a powerful tool that can help us move beyond the surface and get to the root of your fatigue, your low testosterone, your libido, insulin resistance, struggling with the dad bod, those sorts of things, because it's all related. And most men are dealing with, they're actually twice as likely to be dealing with issues that are often silent, like insulin resistance or low testosterone. And so therefore it goes undetected. But when we do some preventative lab work, we can catch issues before symptoms arise, before a point of diagnosis, and we can actually help you reverse those conditions. So, for example, 1 in 4 men over the age of 30 have low testosterone, and the vast majority do not know it. So, there's a lot we can do, because it's not just about your libido. It's not just about your sexual relationship with your spouse. It's about energy. It's about strength. It's about so many things. So I want to do a deep dive and say, um, dad bod. Okay, so Ender doesn't know the dad bod. Dad bod is an expression that's often spoken to. There you go, Jamie dropped the gif in there. Um, that's dad bod. We got the beer belly going. Maybe you're not strong, you're not feeling lean, and it's just kind of like what happens. But a lot of it happens due to hormonal shifts in your body. So yeah, you don't have to dance like that. It's okay. Dance moves are a whole nother session. But I mean, sometime, but I might not be the best teacher for that. um, when we're looking at labs, I look at them from a functional perspective as opposed to a conventional allopathic approach. Conventional labs really look at it on a bell curve. If you remember bell curves from maybe high school, where we went with like the average grades, the highest grades, those sorts of things. Um, and so it's an average of everyone who has taken the test, and only the top 2.5% and the bottom 2.5% of everyone who's taken the test are classified as abnormal or diseased, and then they are treated. But I don't know about where you live, but where I live, like if I go to the grocery store or parking lot and people watch, which I love to do, and I look out at the people going in, it's a very unhealthy population. And I don't want my health goals to be their average. And I think that's really, really important. Also, you will notice when you get down to, the bottom part here, you might still be quote unquote normal, but I guarantee you, if you are this close to abnormal, you're not feeling well. And most doctors will be like, oh, well, we'll just wait and see. And once it gets to that state, then we'll take action. And if you fall into that range of normal, it's probably written off as, oh, it's the long hours that you're putting in at work. Oh, you're caring for a baby in your house, like you're not getting good sleep, like all those things. And so it kind of dismisses symptoms. Whereas from a functional approach, I want to compare your labs to people who are in peak health. They have no symptoms. They do not have any diagnoses. They're not on any medications, prescription or over the counter. They're not complaining. They're really in their prime of life. And those people give us the range that we call optimal. So this is like our goal. And when I say that's our goal, it doesn't mean that you necessarily have to fall like smack in the middle, but where you are on the continuum matters, as does the direction that you're heading. So if you're outside, we want to work you back in towards optimal so that you feel better, right? And we also want to look at a history to say what direction are you headed, because if I just look at a random number like your lab does, and you are, like solidly on this line over here, um some people might be like, oh well, hey, if you were from a normal perspective, it'd be like, oh, you're completely normal. If I were looking at it as a one off, even from a functional perspective, I might be like, hey, it's less than optimal, let's do these things. But if your prior lab was in the optimal and now it's here, we might say, hey, we're heading outside of the optimal. What can we do? What has changed? How can we make it head back? But if you started off over here and now you're here, we know, hey, we're making great progress. Let's keep that up. Or maybe we tweak something. So we can always take corrective action. We can always be proactive. And I have found that symptoms always line up. When people are outside of the optimal range, I can look at those symptoms and be like, hey, this is why you feel the way that you do. And when we see that, when we see what's actually going on inside of your body, then we can have a strategy in order to heal. We're not just like throwing something at the wall to see what sticks. If that makes sense. So, one thing I know guys are typically wanting to focus on is testosterone, your hormone health. It's not just about libido. I mean, libido is great. We all want some, but it also affects your mood. It affects your motivation. It affects your ability to build muscle, your belly fat, hence the dad bod. It affects your energy and the way that you sleep. So, have you ever been tested for testosterone levels? Well, let me know in the chat. What were you told? Were yours normal? It's pretty common to be told that it's normal. If you happen to have your labs with you, you can always pull them out. So never tested. Unfortunately, it's really common to not be tested unless you're having massive issues. And that's unfortunate. The normal range is quite large when it comes to hormones. So they might say, like 264 to 1100 is normal for men's testosterone levels. From a functional approach, we will tighten it much less to say 700 to 1100, and we'll vary that depending on your age and your season of life. But we want it in a good solid range because it's so important for more than just your sex life, right? So we also want to look at free testosterone, not just your total testosterone, but your free testosterone, your sex hormone binding globulin, which tells us how your body's actually using it, and your DHEA levels, because that's actually the precursor hormone that your body breaks down to get testosterone. So I don't look at just like a one off marker. I want to say, how is your body actually utilizing the hormones? If you are low in something, and this is the way you should look at all of your labs, if you're low in something, you want to know why. Is it because you're not getting enough or making enough? Is it because your body is unable to utilize it? Or is it because your body is excreting it and getting rid of it too quickly? Those three things, three different causes, have three different solutions. The same thing if something's high. Are you getting too much of it? Is your body absorbing too much of it? Or are you unable to excrete it, or you have a very slow excretion? So we want to know why before we solve the issue, because it would be a different strategy, right? If you're low and I just pile more in, but you're excreting it too fast, piling more in isn't going to do you any good. So we definitely always want to look at why. Why? It's your most important question when you get results at the doctor. Why? What would have caused that? What's going on? Don't just take it at surface level. Uh, Metabolic health. It's not just about your weight. A lot of people are concerned about their weight. It's really about how your body is using fuel, right? Um, Here we can often talk about cholesterol or glucose. Maybe you know those. Those are often more commonly tested. When was the last time you had your cholesterol and glucose levels tested? What were they? Were they normal? Were you given any guidance about them? I especially love to hear, what were you told about your cholesterol if it was elevated? One of my little hobby horses. um, we want to talk about fuel efficiency. While you're telling me that, I want to tell you about fuel efficiency, because if your fasting insulin is high, your body is going to store fat instead of burn it, which means um, you guys have a problem here trying to lose weight because your body's storing fat no matter what you're doing. And that's not good. If your A1C, your hemoglobin A1C, is creeping up, then you could be headed towards prediabetes or diabetes, even if your glucose looks okay. Interestingly, your cholesterol markers and your heart health, Ender says that he gets it tested regularly. Your cholesterol is very directly tied to your blood sugar. And cholesterol is one of those things that more and more studies are confirming. Cholesterol is a symptom, not a root cause. And oftentimes, the things that can cause elevated cholesterol include blood sugar dysregulation, infections, hormone dysregulation, thyroid issues, inflammation. Those sorts of things will drive your cholesterol up. And so, while you can take a statin medication to suppress your cholesterol, what I really want you to do is address the root cause. Why is it elevated? What can we do about that? Because statins, most people say statins come with a lot of side effects, right? There's a time and a place for medication. I'm certainly not anti med. I literally wouldn't be alive without it. um, but what we want to do is we want to start looking at medications more as band aids. If you had a gash in your arm, you definitely need a band-aid. We don't want you bleeding out. We want that pressure on there. We want to contain your bodily fluids. Like, we definitely need a bandage on there. But that's not the end all and be all. What we want to do is actually heal your body, heal that wound so that you no longer need the bandage. And that's the goal of functional health. It's not to say don't ever use medications. It's to say what is causing the issue so that if we address that, we don't need the medication. You and your doctor can come to an agreement that your health has improved to a state where you no longer need that medication. And that's why doing something like functional blood chemistry can be really powerful to look and to discover what the root cause is of the matter. And if you have questions about that, happy to answer them either now or at the end, because I think it's just so powerful to say, I mean, my brother-in-law just got off of statins last week, in agreement with his physician, which I think is fantastic to be like, hey, we've healed, and he is post-stroke. He had a stroke a couple of years ago and has been able to finally heal his body to a place where he and his physician agree that he no longer needs the medication. And I always love that. It's incredibly powerful. Um, so nutrients. Um, yeah, definitely. You have to look at a doctor to find who sees cholesterol as a symptom rather than a root cause. There's a lot of great books that you can look at um, in regards to that. There's a lot of publications. And I have some information even over on the AHS site, and we can even discuss it a little bit more later if you want to look and see. We can kind of troubleshoot and say, hey, what might be at the root? Because we do want to address that. We don't want risks. We don't want elevated risks for heart disease and stroke, but actually, the problem isn't the cholesterol. The problem is the root cause. So inflammation in your body is root cause of 90+% of all diseases is inflammation. So you need to figure out what's inflamed, why is it inflamed, how do we heal it? Blood sugar dysregulation, cause of heart disease, cause of strokes, cause of dementia, um, all sorts of skin healing issues are associated with blood sugar dysregulation. Obviously, infections, chronic infections, and those sorts of things we would want to treat because when your body's inflamed, it's trying to seek help. Nutrient status, your vitamin D. If you have low vitamin D, your vitamin D can be a symptom of cholesterol dysregulation because your cholesterol actually carries your vitamin D through your body and helps to manufacture that. And oftentimes, when people have a low vitamin D, they are on a medication that is suppressing that. And so we want to say, hey, how can we boost that up in order to help? Um, your vitamin D, your magnesium, your B vitamins. A lot of men that I work with are really low in those three, and no one's ever told them because no one's ever tested them for it. And these nutrients really affect your hormone production, your stress resilience, your mental focus and clarity, that notorious brain fog that's like, oh, I don't know, I've been sitting here working, but suddenly I don't even know what I did for the last 10 minutes because I'm like trying to fight through it, figure it out. Energy and sleep quality are often associated with vitamin deficiencies. So we always want to test things like vitamin D, um, your red blood cell magnesium. So instead of just keeping your magnesium in your blood, we want to see what's actually able to get into your cells. Ferritin, which is your iron storage, which tells us how you're using it. Having your iron tested will tell us one thing, but if we look at your ferritin, your iron storage, that tells us, are your iron levels um, steady while your storage is being depleted? That tells us we're having to pull it out of your storage consistently in order to keep those levels in your body. And B12 and folate are super important as well. Do any of y'all take supplements regularly? And if so, do you know why you're taking it? Is it because you saw something online? Is it because someone said, like, are you taking a multivitamin? Are you taking any sort of supplements? Let me know. Because again, we want to say, like, hey, why are we taking it? If we're low in something, why is that? Some supplements are great to take. Um, yes, and for specific reasons. Fantastic. Some supplementation can be very preventative, and some can address deficiencies or other reasons. So I love that you have reasons for taking it. Probably one of the most common questions I get in my text messaging is a picture of a bottle of supplements and like, is this good for me to take? Well, that's random. Why are you taking it? So I always want to know. Um, if you're taking the senior male ones over the counter, the Centrum brand, I would highly recommend a better version, especially if it contains folic acid um, or cobalamin for B12, and it's not methylcobalamin or methylfolate. And the reason why is because some of you may have heard about the MTHFR genetic mutation, which makes it harder for your body to methylate, just means it's a fancy word, convert your B vitamins from an inactive state into an active state that your body can use. And so while the MTHFR genetic mutation does affect a good percentage of people, it's actually only one of the genetic SNP absorption. Why give your body one more hurdle? Let's just go ahead and give it to you in the bioavailable state. So, Andrew, you may just want to check that. So, tell me the results of the poll that I see up. Where are we at on that? When was the last time you had comprehensive lab results done? Oh yeah, magnesium complex. I'm liking a magnesium complex. It can be super beneficial for a lot of people to do that. So definitely a good option. Jamie, is there a way for you to take down the poll so I can share my screen once more? There we go. Um, let me. There we go. Back to where we were. So hopefully now we can keep going. I think supplements are super important. And when you look at magnesium, there are different forms of magnesium, Steve. So a complex is good because it'll give you multiple ones in there because every form of magnesium has its strengths and its drawbacks as far as whether it causes gastrointestinal issues, diarrhea, those sorts of things, or there's some that are really great for neurological connections. Some are really great for muscles. Some are really great to bring up your general magnesium levels. And so, yeah, absolutely. Magnesium can be an incredibly powerful tool. Some of them can actually even help you sleep better. Um, So, inflammation, mentioned it earlier in regards to the cholesterol. Um, Chronic inflammation is the root of almost every disease, heart disease, depression, Alzheimer's, dementia, you name it, inflammation is at the root of it. So the things that we want to test are the high sensitivity C reactive protein or the HSCRP. That'll tell us a lot about your systemic inflammation and also how is it affecting your cardiovascular system. Your homocysteine, it really reflects your methylation, which we talked about earlier with your vitamin B, but it also has an effect when you have a high homocysteine level. Not only are you unable to convert your B vitamins, but it has a direct effect on your cardiovascular system. So when you have high homocysteine, you're at a greater risk of strokes, heart disease, and those sorts of things. Your PSA, obviously for prostate health, but there's some other things that can go along with that, including nutrients. Zinc is incredibly powerful and related to your prostate health. We'll talk about that a little bit more in a minute. And of course, your thyroid panel, it helps to regulate your metabolism, but it also is important for your energy and for your mood. And these aren't just numbers. And that's what I want you to see is that when you get your test, they're not just numbers, they're whispers that your body's like, hey, things are off balance. How do we correct that? What do we shift? Because we don't want to ignore them. Your thyroid, for example, is often considered the canary in the coal mine. When things start going amok in your body, your thyroid starts squawking. So we often start seeing shifts in the thyroid when other things are going on. And it doesn't mean that we don't want to address that thyroid, but it means that we also want to say what else is going on in the body such that we can pay attention. Um, One thing that I want to talk to you about is stress. A lot of people think about stress as
Hey, Judy, I think your mic is muted and you're froze again, possibly. There you are. I think I hear you. We hear you. There you are.
This is crazy. I'm actually hardwired in, so I don't know what's going on with the internet unless someone's working in the area. Because this is very bizarre. I'm typically on Zooms all day long, and that's not um something I usually deal with. So my apologies for talking about stress, right? um, Tech can be a stressor on your body for sure too. And when we look at your stress, we really want to take into account your total stress load. And it can um, it can be really powerful. Like I was saying before, I was so rudely interrupted. Um, it can be anything from your blood sugar. It's been too long since you've eaten. Maybe you're sleep deprived. Maybe you are too hot, too cold. You're unable to regulate your body temperature. All of those things are stressors on your body. And so sometimes we feel like we're doing everything right, but our body's just not cooperating. And so I want to talk to you about Matt because I think that it can show you how you it might be something that you have no idea is really happening inside that's causing you your problems. So that's why we want to go deeper. Um, Matt's a blue collar worker, steady, loyal, hardworking. He's been grinding away at work for years. Recently, he had started noticing some changes. He was exhausted in the afternoon. He was having digestive issues, knee pain when he was working, which was constantly, again, blue collar worker. He was feeling frustrated, kind of on the verge of being depressed, and he had a low sexual drive and was noticing that his sexual performance was off. So his wife reached out to me, and we decided to run a functional blood chemistry analysis to get some clarity. And what we found out was really eye opening. We noticed that, sure, there were the usual suspects. He had blood sugar regulation issues, he had some stress hormone imbalances. Um, so, for example, when cortisol ramps up, it shuts down your DHEA production, which we talked about a minute ago, and that's the precursor to your sex hormones, which is kind of crazy, right? But when you're really stressed, it's shutting down your hormones. But we also saw something that we didn't expect, and that was zinc toxicity. And like I said, your zinc is very much related to your prostate function and to your testosterone. And zinc insufficiency and zinc toxicity mirror each other in symptoms. And so we really did some digging. Like, what on earth? He wasn't eating a lot of zinc containing foods, he wasn't taking supplements, he wasn't doing anything. And so we really had to say, like, what on earth is going on and do a deep dive. We were really kind of scratching our heads, but then we started digging into his work habits. And as a blue collar worker, Matt often held screws in his mouth while he worked. Some of y'all might have bells going off in your head. They were zinc plated screws. And that tiny habit, repeated for years, was enough to create toxicity in his body. And that's where, I want to pause and just say, this is what functional blood chemistry analysis gives us. It doesn't just give us data, it gives us information, discernment, so that we can look deeper and try to figure out what exactly is going on. We made some simple changes, um, and now his energy's back, his mood has improved, his marriage is stronger than ever. And once we made that connection and we were able to help him detox safely, we supported his adrenals, his blood sugar, his liver. And his wife saw me recently and wanted me to tell you, get your blood work done because it's so incredibly powerful. Because when you're healthy, your marriage is healthy. When you're healthy, you're a better employee, you're a better business owner. It's important to make sure that your body is working in optimal condition, because it's not just about finding out what's wrong, it's about restoring what's right and giving you your life back so that you can do what you need to do. Sometimes the root cause isn't obvious, right? It's not just about managing stress or eating better. Those are obviously parts of a recovery, but it's really about figuring out what's going on underneath so that we can give you answers and not guesses. And we can offer you hope and not just dismissing you as being normal. So, what I would like for you to do is say, hey, let me track labs that matter, some of the ones I've mentioned today, and look at not just normal ranges, but optimal ranges, or find someone who can tell you more about optimal ranges and who can interpret them. Yes, prioritize your sleep, prioritize moving your body intentionally, prioritize real food and stress reduction, and definitely work with someone who can see the whole picture. I created an ebook for you that explains more about functional blood chemistry, and it gives a lab panel, a general lab panel. If you want something specific for you, you're having symptoms or you have questions, definitely feel free to reach out to me because I would be happy to kind of look at that and give you some suggestions for you personally. You can either take them to your doctor and have your doctor run the labs, or I can order labs if you want to do those, as a cash pay or use FSA or HSA accounts to do that. But the book is here in the resources, and we can give you a link for that as well if you need it. But look at those labs. How many of those labs do you have? None of them are weird labs. Obviously, as a man, while you do have progesterone and estrogen in your body, they're a lower amount. It would not be the first thing that I would test for on you. Um, but we want to say, what can you look at? What do you have currently? What hasn't been tracked? Look at that history. Is it going further up and out? Is it staying the same? You can look at your labs in lab history and see even just that. So I want you to take action because you're not stuck with the body that you have today. Your body is designed to heal, and you don't even have to overhaul your life overnight, but you do need to take consistent steps. And to say, like, hey, what can I do? Know your numbers. Start with little changes that can help you improve your health. Be accountable. Have a buddy that you're like, hey, I'm going to really improve my health and I want you to do that with me. It's really powerful when men can encourage each other to take control of their health. So I'd love to answer any questions that you have. And if you're interested in doing a deeper dive with your labs, we can absolutely talk about that, walk through your labs together, uncover root causes, and map out a personalized strategy of how to help you heal because you deserve to feel strong, to feel clear headed, to feel whole and healthy and not just survive, but really be able to thrive and be that strong leader that I know you want to be. So if have questions, um, yeah, I can absolutely make the slides available for you. Not a problem at all, and it may be helpful to not have them quite so disjointed due to technical issues. But if you have questions, I would be more than happy to answer questions. If you've got a copy of your labs and you're like, hey, like what's the functional optimal range for this marker, then I would be happy to answer that question as well. Just let me know what you got. Have you had mineral testing done, vitamin testing done? Other than vitamin D, vitamin D is common or becoming more common, thankfully, because the vast majority of people, doctors are realizing that vitamin D is so powerful. It's not actually a vitamin, it's actually a neurohormone. And as such, it helps to regulate all the other hormones in your body and the way your body functions. And so, vitamin D is critically important. If you have a vitamin D test, I want you to look at it. I'll give you this one right now. Look at your vitamin D test if you have it, and tell me where you're at because I will tell you that number. Yeah, most of the time you have to specifically ask for it to be done. It's not super expensive. It is not out there and ridiculous for them to do it. If you get um, magnesium, zinc, iron, um, your B12 and folates, those four right there. Copper would be a really great fit. If you get those tests done, that would give you a really good indication of where you're at. And then in combination, if you have someone functional, you can say, like, hey, why am I low in this? Oftentimes, I find that people are low in their minerals when they have GI issues, digestive issues. They're not able to break down their foods to absorb those minerals. If you think about it, they're stones and metals. So clearly, you need a strong gastrointestinal system in order to bring out um, that those nutrients out of your food and absorb them into your body. So you definitely need to do that. So I love that you were able to get some testing done, Steve. If your stuff is high, we want to know why, right? Are you getting too much of something? If you have minerals, are you just absorbing it more? Are you unable to excrete it? If a lot of your numbers are high, like blood sugar and cholesterol and liver function and stuff like that, then we want to know, like, what's going on that's causing this. And that's what I like to do with my clients, is to look at the whole picture and say, let's line up all these issues, and then let's figure out what are the core ones that if we adjusted those one, two, or three things, they would almost be like dominoes and knock down all the other ones because these were addressed. So, for example, um, if you have um, if you have blood sugar dysregulation, that's going to cause inflammation in other areas. So, if you have significant blood sugar dysregulation, that's always going to be one of the first ones to address. Triglycerides and LDL being high, uh, your triglycerides and your LDL are typically not associated with the food that you eat. Your cholesterol is not food based for the most part. It is, triglycerides can be the one thing that can be related, but it's typically because of something else going on in your system. Other inflammation, your thyroid's out of whack, your blood sugar's out of whack, you've got underlying infections that your body can't quite kick. Not like a bacterial infection like you need antibiotics for, but something that like your body's fought it off most of the way, and now it's just kind of still constantly in that fighting to try to get rid of the rest of it. That in and of itself can cause inflammation in your body, such that you're elevating things like your blood sugar. Chronic infections will cause your blood sugar to go up. It will also cause you to have elevated cholesterol, which is why, you want the whole picture. I think too many times we've gotten kind of into the idea with labs as much as we have with doctors, that we have this for cardiology and we have this for nephrology or kidney and we have a podiatrist for our feet, and we have a neurologist for our brain, and they don't talk to each other. And a lot of times people take that same perspective, especially doctors and labs, take that same perspective when they're looking at blood work, to say, okay, well, this is your heart and this is your kidney and this is your blood sugar, and no, it actually all goes together. And we can see a lot about why you're feeling the way you're feeling when we look at how it's interrelated. So, for example, liver function, we don't want to just look at your AST and ALT, which are your classic liver enzymes. What we want to do is say your liver uses certain enzymes. It goes through two stages and it puts out different enzymes. And in those stages, it also helps to convert things like your B vitamins, like your thyroid hormones, and those sorts of things. And so when we look at the whole picture, we can say, oh, is your liver struggling? And if so, what stage? Is it not getting what it needs? Is it having problems in stage one or stage two? Is it not putting out the right things? Or are things further down the chain unable to use what it's putting out? So when we look at it from that perspective, we can tell a lot more about how your body is actually functioning on the inside. It's not about labeling. That doesn't really do any good. You've got high cholesterol. Okay, so why? Um, Putting, slapping a band-aid on it or suppressing the numbers, it doesn't take care of the root cause of why it's an issue. So it's not that it's wrong, again, to put medication there, but it's not healing your body. It's not reversing the condition. And so that's why we want to say, like, hey, what are we doing here to actually fix it? Yeah. Eliminating most sugars and processed carbs. Hugely important for so many people. Great job, Steve. Great job, because I know that can be a hard transition to do. And reducing alcohol consumption. All of that can be incredibly powerful for your body because it's hard for you to, process all these things that are really chemicals in a lot of ways when we're looking at processed foods and even in sugars. Any other questions before we go? Um, yes, atorvastatin can lead to prediabetes because it actually inflates your blood sugar level, because it's putting a higher demand on your pancreas, and your body recognizes it as a toxin, and so it's trying to break it down. Most medications it is, which is why they get filtered through either your liver or your kidneys, and it'll affect the function there. So yeah, you definitely want to say like, hey, what are the risk benefit analysis? Talk with your doctor about it since it is a prescription medication, but also say, why? Why do I have that high cholesterol? What can I do to address that so that I don't need the atorvastatin anymore? And then, those same things can help you heal. So that's what we ultimately want, is the healing. All right. Well, it was so good to have you guys here today. I've loved every minute of it that I was live with you. And my apologies again for the tech issues. Um, but if you have questions, you can reach me. I'll put my website here. It's h-h-hope.com. And you're welcome to reach me there. Also, you can grab that resource and it gives you some ways to connect with me. Um, yeah, yeah, cutting your tablets in half and taking those. The doctor never likes those for a variety of reasons, but I would always encourage you to talk to your doctor and to ask them, what do you need to see? This is a powerful question, guys. What do you need to see in order for me to come off this medication? What, like, what level do you need to see? What do I have to have done? And that's the way that I work with my clients to help them get off of medications, is to get that doctor on your page to begin with. And if they say, oh, you're going to just be on it for life, that's not acceptable. Find a different doctor. Your body's designed to heal. So don't take that as an answer. If they say you just have to be on it for life. No, what do you need to see in order for me to come off of this medication? Do you need to see lower cholesterol numbers? Do you need to see, lower blood sugar numbers? Do you need to see a lower weight? What do you need to see? And that kind of puts them in the position to really help you develop an exit strategy from that medication. So, all righty. Well, coming up next, I think we have the fabulous Jody. And yes, resources are in the resource tab. You can always set my website. Grab that resource because it'll have that lab panel. You can look and see which ones you're getting done, which ones maybe you want to request next time. Learn a little bit more about functional blood chemistry analysis and how I look at things from a different perspective. I think is super powerful, and I loved having you. So I hope you guys have a fabulous day and enjoy the next session with Jody. She is a powerhouse, and I'm confident you're going to love every moment.